Alright, so I'm going to create a video in a couple of parts and then piece them together. We're going to talk about how to get that smoky, cloudy look in the back of your illustrations, like the examples that I showed in the slideshow and some of the student work. So one thing you'll need is some way to save your pencil shavings, or you're going to need powdered graphite. But I really don't see anybody owning powdered graphite. You can find it at Michael's, you can find it at probably Hobby Lobby. I don't see any point in you guys getting it though. But your pencil shavings, if you have a sharpener that saves them, you can do that, or you can just sharpen your pencil over a piece of paper and save those shavings. So a couple of things that I have, just everyday household items. So one of them, Q-tip, right? It's an art tool. Cotton ball. So these are things that you can most likely find around your house. For some reason you can't find it around your house. Tissue paper. Aguilar, I don't have allergies. I don't have to blow my nose. I don't have any tissue paper at home. Toilet paper, right? Okay, so that's just toilet paper. So that's something that you guys can find. I'll just hold it up because the light's kind of hitting it pretty harshly. Paper towels. Okay, so these are just regular paper towels that I have out of the kitchen. All these things you guys can find. Scrap piece of paper. So I just took a piece of paper, cut it in half, folded it, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to start rolling it, and I'm going to start rolling it as tiny as I can, and I'm just going to keep going, and as I do it, I'm going to do it at an angle. Okay, and when I do it at an angle, it's going to give me this point here. And I'm just going to keep going, going, and going, and going. Right. And now I have a nice little smudge stick. So these are all tools that you guys have around the house. These are all things that you guys can make. You know, it's not anything that you need to go buy at the store. You can buy a blending stick. I don't know if I have one on me right now. So a blending stick's going to look just like this. This does the same exact thing, except, you know, you're just making it out of scrap paper, and you just got to keep it tight. So once you keep it tight, it'll work just the same. If you want to make sure that it stays tight, you can just get a piece of tape, tape it down, and you have it. So these are all things that you guys are going to use. I'm going to show you how just to do it, and then I'm going to show you guys a practical application in a different video. And then what I'm going to do is just smash those videos together into one video. So let's get started, and I'm just going to start by putting some graphite here on the paper. And I'll do it in a couple of different areas so you guys can see. Okay, and I'm going to have some pencil shavings. I'm going to zoom in just a bit so you guys can see this. And I'll start with the cotton ball. Cotton ball's the easiest one to do it with. And you're not trying to make it like super dark. If you need it to be dark for whatever reason, you just apply more. Oh, I just spilled a bunch. The one thing you want to do though is make sure your table gets cleaned after this. So whatever cleaning materials you guys have at home, you want to make sure that you guys get it cleaned off. So I'm just going to go and create this cloudy look. I'm going to take some of this excess and throw it off. And now I'm going to show my Q-tip. So I'm just going to create a little bit in a pile over here. And I'll just take my Q-tip. So I would do this like on a separate piece of paper. And I'm just going to get my Q-tip in there. And I can go in and I can get very specific. I just want to get this Q-tip as dirty as possible. And I just want to take it into an area where I can darken or add details. So if I had to do something smaller, or if I want to have something that's coming kind of like a, I kind of want to create like a little smoky swirls or anything like that. Let me zoom in just a bit so you guys can see it. Again, separate piece of paper. just something to rub this in. You can see that it's getting dirty. I want to get it really, really dirty. And then I can come in and I can create really specific areas, and I can create really specific effects. And this is really light, so the cameras might be having a hard time picking it up, but I'm going to hold it up after I blow this off real fast so you guys can see. Okay, so you guys can see what that Q-tip did, and you can see where I put the graphite down and just rubbed it. This is why you want to have it on a separate piece of paper, and then you're going to transfer it over. For big areas, I just load it on. This works the same way. Now, the other thing is, if I create a mark, so let's say I want to create an outline of something, and I'll put it here. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to create like an outline. Let's say I'm making an outline of whatever. Doesn't matter. But I want this area to be darker. But I don't want it to look like this pencil mark. Again, I could take this. I could also take the Q-tip. I can do the same thing. And I could go in and I can really come in. And you can see how that's going to get dirty on this side. And actually, the dirtier it gets, the better, because the smoother something will get. And again, I can create these little shapes. I can have darker edges, darker borders, and I can really add an ambiance. I can even extend it out. So let's say I want it to kind of leak out of here a little bit. So I'm going to add a little bit more pencil. Now, when you do this on top of graphite you've already smeared, it's going to come out a lot smoother. So I'm basically adding graphite on top of graphite that I already put down pretty smooth. Okay, so you can see how those are going to work. And again, they're all going to do the same thing. If I get my finger, because I don't want to use my finger, I'll even wrap my finger in the tissue paper, and I'm just going to come in and just go. So you have to have something available to you. You have to have, tissue paper, cotton ball, Q-tip. Something has to exist around the house. So if I don't have a Q-tip, I'll make one of these, right? I don't have a cotton ball. I'll get a piece of tissue paper. For whatever reason I don't have that, I'll get toilet paper. Toilet paper will do the same thing. You basically just need something soft that you can make a rub. So all of these will work. The paper towel's probably the one I would use least if I had a choice, because it's going to be a bit rough. I'll fold it up a couple of times. And I'm going to raise this up so you guys can see it a little bit clearer without the light hitting it. So let me blow it off real fast, and I'm going to show you a bit of a difference. So if you look at it, you're going to get a much rougher texture with the paper towel than you will with the toilet paper or with tissue paper or cotton ball. So when you're doing this, understand that this would probably be, unless I wanted that texture, unless I wanted a texture, I probably wouldn't use a paper towel. Now, here's the other thing. Here's an eraser, here's an eraser. Once I have a gray value down, I can use the eraser to draw. So if I want to create kind of a smoky look going, and again, I'd have to clean it off from time to time. Jeans, anything rough, you can clean this off with. In the classroom, I have sandpaper, and we use the sandpaper to clean off our erasers, right? So you got to be able to erase your eraser. Anything rough, anything that you have rough, That'll do the job. And you know, I don't like messing with these type of erasers because I like them. They're good for erasing big areas. But you know, if you don't have a skinny eraser, you can take a knife and you could slice off some of this and make it into an edge, or scissors and do that. You can try to get it to a point, but the bigger ones are going to make kind of like a much smoother mark, but you're not going to be able to really make the tiny lines with it. So this is part one. I'm going to show you guys how to make a layer mask, or make a mask with another layer of paper. So if you want a nice hard edge and you want some other stuff to be smoky or cloudy, I'll show you how to do that in the next section. So right now I just wanted to introduce you to a couple different materials. So let's recap. I got a Q-tip, cotton ball, regular paper towel, toilet paper. Toilet paper will break up the fastest. Your tissue paper for your nose is stronger than toilet paper. Okay, and then just taking some paper, making it really nice and tight. So you can see that it got loose. Just go back in, tighten it again, and again, if you have any tape, you can just go ahead and tape it to keep it tight. Otherwise, every time you go back to use it, just, you know, give it a nice rewrapping. So these are all things that you guys can do to create this type of texture, this type of background. You can draw with an eraser once you do this. So I have two more things that I'm going to show you guys what to do. One is creating a mask. The second one is putting it down with purpose for an illustration. So we're going to get to those next.